All right, Nate, tell us about the last set list item, because you were the one that brought it up to us, and it was something that you've been kind of thinking about beforehand.
Yeah, well, this is something I thought of way back in the day. As like a teenager, like, oh man, it'd be so cool to see like one of my favorite bands, like Pearl Jam, for instance, like to see them do a residency, but instead of doing a residency at like a stadium or arena, to kind of like go through like the crescendo of venues in that market. So for Boston, for instance, like play Paradise, or I guess Access back in the day, and then play like Orpheum, and then play the Garden, and then play like Fenway, something like that. And I always thought that'd be a cool idea. Like, oh man, if I was in band or if I was in some kind of management situation, I would pitch this to every artist that is deserving of it. And now there's a band that's doing it. And I saw it today. I'm like, no way, like this is crazy. But, speaking of bands worthy of doing so, I don't know about that. But I mean,
yeah, it's 21 Pilots. He's talking about 21 Pilots. They're doing this
in
a couple of different big cities around the country, which, I mean, it's interesting. The idea is interesting. And I like, if you're a huge fan of a band and they're playing in your city or close to your city and you can get to it, however way, and they're doing 4 nights and they're building up to bigger venues as they go, that's a really cool idea. I'm going to go ahead and say Nate trademarked it first. So, 21 Pilots, you want to kick him some cash for the idea, you should. But yeah, it's an interesting thought. And, it'd be awesome to see some of those big bands in those small venues, as we talked about with Foo Fighters, and then building up to that massive show at the Garden or Fenway or the Forum in LA, et cetera, et cetera. So exciting stuff.
No, I think it's cool. And I was thinking about it. You obviously have to be an arena level band to do this, right? And you have to go backwards, obviously Code Orange couldn't, they're pretty much a club band. They couldn't do this. So there's only a certain subset of bands that could do it. And then there's only a certain sub amount of bands that would do it. So I will commend them on that they will do it. I never really got into them. Probably haven't heard enough. Maybe they're good. Maybe they're not. I don't know. But I think Foo Fighters would do this. Pearl Jam, I think, has that makeup to do it. Who else is Kings of Leon? Someone like that, I think, would do it.
I mean, yeah. House band Rage Against the Machine would be fucking awesome.
Oh, I would be there. For
and
sure.
I can see them doing that in big cities around the country as like hey, we're back, guys. We're going to play a small venue. We're going to play a middling venue. We're going to play a huge venue. And then we're moving on to the next city. Deal with it.
A scalper's dream, too.
Oh, my God, right?
The secondary market, those club shows would go for obviously more than the arena show, like probably front row arena shows. I mean, what is it, Paradise Rock Club?
Yep.
Is where 21 Pilots are playing. Those are going to be like $500 probably.
Yeah.
Or they'll sell them all to the verified fan, and they'll be quadruple that.
Oh, man.
Oh, sorry. I can't talk about that. I get yelled at on YouTube when I talk about that shit.
Sell out.
I was thinking about the ticketing situation on this. If I were to be in a management situation, I would put this together as a package deal, probably not as a surplus VIP thing, but more like this is for the fans. You can buy all the shows in a set, basically, like collect them all. You know what I mean? Go to the club show, take the whole week off, go to the arena show at the end. It's one set price, like a festival. You know what I mean? Like you get a value out of it, and it's not resale market. You're in line, the digital waiting room or whatever, and you can go to them all instead of like, oh, we got locked out of the Paradise, at least you can go to the Orpheum. That's the way I would do it, ideally as a fan, but also if I was in a situation of power where I could make that decision, just because it's like, well, the fans want to be at all of them. Diehard fans for bands that are going to pull something like this off, like they want to be at all of them, you want to collect all. So that would be cool. Another thing I was thinking about is the logistics.
Well, can I comment on that real quick, though?
Yeah.
I got just a quick thought. I don't think 21 Pilots has been around long enough and has a deeply entrenched fan base to do this that way correctly. Just throwing that out there. I'm not a huge fan of the band. It is what it is, but they're also not a legacy band like Pearl Jam or the Foo Fighters that's been around forever and can pull this off. So I'm kind of interested to see how, if you're a 21 Pilots fan, you're probably 10, 15 years younger than me. And are you going to go to 4 nights? A, you put on the money, and B, you may not be interested in seeing them 4 nights in a row. So just throwing that out there.
No, good call. Yeah, I didn't think about that aspect of it. And you're right. I think all three of us aren't really fans. I mean, I only know a song, so they could be amazing, and I just don't know. This is another one of those like pull up the Spotify. What do they have, like 3 million listeners a month, something like that. But what I was saying is, logistically, I wonder how they must have got the lock on these venues, in 2019, because it must be a feeding frenzy to get, a show date in general. We had Lauren Wayne on from the State Theater. She's like, yeah, there's, certain, priorities, and there's certain, what do they call it? What'd you say? Reserves or something on certain slots.
Yep.
And they come and they go. So for them to essentially take all the venues in the market must be a pretty high bidding war. So,
but it's only for a couple
I'm
of
surprised
days.
Yeah, but still, they do it in multiple markets and get them all.
Yeah, no, I hear you, but
That's
I think again, like it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they're gone, and on Thursday they're at the one venue, so like the other venues can still be having things. You know what I mean? Like it's not
That's
that
true.
big of a deal.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They are the premier venues for that market, though. So it's like if a band's rolling through, it's like, oh, we would do the arena, but it's taken by 21 pounds. So you know what? We're gonna do a club show. Oh shit, they got that too. I guess we're gonna skip this city this round.
I mean, that's only if they're there the same exact time. I think that's.
Yeah.
I think you're like, oh man, there's 4 venues and all these bands are trying to get into these 4 venues and there's nothing else. Like there's plenty of other places for people to play. So it is obviously the big venues in those big cities. And hey, they have almost 23 million listeners a month on Spotify. So joke's on us, I guess.
That's nuts.
Well, the other thing to think about is they're not doing 4 nights they're only doing it in select cities. So,
right.
And they're not like there's in the city it's sequential.
Yep.
But from stop to stop, there's time in between. So I think it lends itself to, probably not a big deal. But to get back to what you're saying, Nate, there's also nothing that would stop a scalper from putting a 4-show package on the secondary market too. You know what
totally.
I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
They may already be up. Who knows?
Don't put it out there.
Hey, it's happening whether or not we say it. So
yeah, it's true.
But I love the idea. Like
I know they have 23 million listeners a month on Spotify, but I think it's those younger. It's a younger generation of kids following them, and I think they might go to 1 show or 2, maybe. I mean, it's a lot to go to 4, and it's a lot of money to go to 4. It's a lot of effort to go to 4. It's a lot of time. It rearranges a week for you. Like, what 23-year-old or 24-year-old is rearranging their? They don't know what they're doing tomorrow. I didn't know what I was doing tomorrow when I was 23 right now. So to be like, oh yeah, I'm following 21 Pilots in Boston or in Atlanta or whatever. I don't think that they have it. A, they have enough music, and B, they have enough attention span in their fans to pull this off. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think what you're saying is they're not worthy. They're not worthy to get all the venues, because at the end of the day, like this venue/residency thing is really a nerdery thing, because venues, the club shows especially, it's such a there's such a nerd aspect associated with that. It's like, oh nice, I'm seeing him at the Orpheum Theater, this is insane in Boston. I'm seeing him at the Axis in Boston, amazing. I'm seeing him at the Garden, amazing. So we always talk about it on here. It's like the venue is half the experience, just to be in a room, especially when you've never been in before. Like I'm still crossing stuff off lists out here that I've just never seen in the inside of the building. So,
yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting. The idea is great, and more power to them if they can pull it off. And obviously, somebody thinks they can because they're doing it. So maybe the tickets will sell well, and they'll have all 4 of these venues packed full in all these cities. 6 or 7 cities when the time comes.
Yeah, I would think so. If it was just 1 stop in Boston, they would probably sell out the Garden. I would think there with that many listeners.
Yep.
And then, no, the fact that there's other shows, is that going to impact that? Probably not. But yeah, I'm here for it. I hope other bands do it. It's a logistical nightmare, I can imagine, like you're saying, Nate. But
yeah,
hey, joke's on me because a lot of people like them.
Yeah, well, and it's probably not bad for the band, especially if they're a band of that size, because like we talked about with Greg a couple weeks back, if you just wake up and you're in the city and you don't have to worry about like rushing to get there the next day and then get to wherever for sound check, nah, man, you're already there. You just got to go across town to the venue. You wake up and you can have your, kind of relaxing. I'm in Boston for 4 days. I'm in Chicago for 4 days, and not worry too much about getting up early and rushing to the next place. So that's kind of cool.